Welcome back to the Federal Executive Forum on Federal News Network. We are talking about cloud optimization and data center optimization, one and the same, depending on who you're talking to. And we're talking about specific programs. Zach, I'd like to throw it over to you at NOAA to highlight a specific program you'd like to bring to the attention of the listening community.
Thank you, Luke. I'd like to highlight a program I mentioned earlier and delve into it just a little bit, the No Open Data Dissemination Program. This is something that I don't think you'll find elsewhere in government. It's a program where we take our data for the cost of getting our data to the cloud. We place it in the cloud, make it freely and openly available. It's stored and disseminated from the cloud to the public and to the economy at large at no cost to the American taxpayer except the cost to get the data to the cloud in the first place. It's a unique opportunity because there's so much data there. We've been an engine of the economy for decades, and this amps it up. What's exciting about it is not only does it democratize our data and be an engine for the American economy, but it also saves us from ourselves. Our data is absolutely crucial for protecting lives and livelihoods every day. We have more high impact systems than anybody else in the Commerce Department. We are moving those systems to the cloud thanks to FedRAMP having a high impact level. But we can also be victims of our own success. As the economy grows and uses our data, it places enormous pressures on the infrastructure that we have. And what we needed was a way to have the economy pay for itself, if you will. And so back in 2015, we went from the cooperative research and development agreement stage to contracts. I guess it was 2017, we signed 3 contracts. In 2019, it became operational. It's now in our strategic plan. It's being used by large portions of industry. An example of the kinds of volumes that you get, 1.2 to 1.5 billion sustained interactions per day on just one data set. Just one satellite's worth of data, 28 days straight, 1.2 to 1.5 billion sustained interactions in the cloud. Mm-hmm. And the most recent thing we've done is we've gotten great data analytics on how the economy is using our data. And what we've discovered is something that we thought was true, but now we know is true, that most of the access to our data that we put in the cloud is from inside the cloud, which is crucial because that is the business model that allows this to be self-sustaining, is folks coming in, using the data, staying in the cloud, making money for cloud providers, and not costing us any additional cost beyond getting the data there in the first place. Mm. At the most recent meeting of the American Meteorological Society, there were a number of success stories that were briefed by industry about no open data dissemination. One small company that takes our data, takes our models, and produces value-added products that allow you to determine and predict moisture and rainfall in the drought-stricken West, a very critical value-added product on top of what we do. And here's a quote: "We would not exist in our form remotely close to what we're doing without open source NOAA products, specifically their modeling. It is the backbone of everything we do, and we pull that data multiple times a day." So anyway, we're excited about that, and thank you for the opportunity to talk.
And we are too. And there's certainly not a person that isn't listening to this show, or a person in this country, or quite frankly on the planet Earth, that doesn't realize and appreciate how important this information is. And we're thankful that you're making it available to leverage into third-party capabilities to keep this country safe. I really do appreciate that. Nick at Pure Storage, give us an example of a activity that you would like to highlight in regards to cloud optimization, et cetera.
Thanks, Luke. And this is a really exciting one. So I want to highlight the Treasury Department, and particularly the Internal Revenue Service. So this past year has seen
a timely one.
I know, right? But this is really a tremendous transformation story. This past year has seen the operational implementation of the managed infrastructure and data services environment, and the IRS is now benefiting from an elastic, scalable, evergreen, and easily managed enterprise data service platform with no over provisioning, under provisioning, or forklift upgrades for tier 1 and tier 2 workloads. So they're now able to process vast amounts of data faster than their traditional environment enabled them to do so. And it's freed up a lot of resources to invest time in more mission critical activities and adapting to really ever changing environments. So all of this while enjoying continuous innovation and modernization of their environment, predictable and manageable cost structure, and not having to manage the infrastructure at all. So this is an on-premises managed infrastructure environment that gives the IRS the flexibility and scalability that they need to adapt to, obviously, an ever-increasing amount of services that they need to offer, but never having to worry about whether or not what they're driving their data on, how they're leveraging their data, can keep up with that today or in the future. So we're very, very proud to see how quickly they affected that transformation, because really 18 months from adoption or signing the contract to operationalizing the environment is a breathtaking pace of innovation for any agency, any corporation of that size.
And if there's ever an agency that's going to surge, it's certainly the IRS during tax season. It's certainly NOAA during hurricane season, or during an active hurricane, et cetera. And we really do appreciate the partnership that you've had there. Well, we only have a few more minutes, and we always like to wrap up and talk about the paint a picture of the future. 2 to 3 years out, what are we expecting at that point? Lamont, we're going to start with you at Verizon. What does that demand signal look like? What are you all preparing for to be able to offer and make available 2 to 3 years from now?
Yeah, so what we're going to see, and what we're looking forward to working on is like seeing that the full mobilized network and full mobilized usage of the data moving across everybody across the United States, no matter where we're working at, no matter what we're doing. I mean, there's about roughly 2 million government users that are out there today. We want to make sure that we're able to get that that information back and forth between each one of these data centers, between each one of these edge computing devices, edge computing locations, to make sure that we're able to deliver on whether it's a public safety mission, whether it's getting our taxes through, or just helping some constituents that are out in the environment trying to get their healthcare services. So it's really enabling the mobility of the end users to make sure that they're able to get to this data, no matter where it's residing in the data center or in the cloud, and to make sure that these services continue to grow and enhance and evolve to meet the needs of the American public.
And we appreciate the fast, reliable, and capable services that you all provide. Nick, Pure Storage, paint a picture of what it's going to look like 2 to 3 years now from where you all sit.
This is where things get really exciting. For those who don't pay attention to, how their tires get manufactured, this might have gone under the radar. We've reached a cost inflection point where modernized storage, flash-based storage, is now actually price competitive with or equal in price to spinning disk storage. So what we're going to see over the course of the next couple of years is an incredibly rapid adoption and shift, an acceleration of the shift, really, to modernized data service platforms. Michelle's probably going to nod her head because she sees it over at NetApp as well. But we're reaching a point now where system capacities are going to reach multiple petabytes per rack unit, which gives us an unprecedented amount of data density, an unprecedented amount of performance and efficiency that will wind up saving customers, not just government customers, but it will wind up saving customers billions of dollars in cost avoidance for energy consumption, space consumption, and a tremendous increase in overall productivity. As data can be leveraged more effectively, we get to outcomes that we want sooner. So over the course of the next couple of years, we're going to see the density of these platforms double starting this year, which is going to give us incredible capability as IT professionals to deliver data to our customers.
Well, we really do appreciate that, because anytime we can take $10 and get 3 times more out of it is appreciated, simply because the demand continues to increase. The pent up demand has always been there. Michelle, how about at NetApp? Tell us what it's going to look
Yep.
like 2 to 3 years from now.
Sure thing. And, Nick, I think we are very much like-minded, agree with everything he says. So, if I look at, I'll go in a little bit different direction then and expand on the different elements. If I think about the future, what we were told by the CIO of the organization that we implemented for was, I don't have to worry about my IT infrastructure anymore, right? I can focus on the mission and more enabling of the mission rather than worrying about what's going on underneath. And I can do that, right, if I look forward, because I've got a very simple and consistent environment. I've got a single tool or element where I can look across everything that I need. My infrastructure is secure because I've got AI-driven automation that can help to detect anomalies and respond against them. I've got tools that help me to automatically optimize my savings, right? Whether it should be cloud or on-prem, I'm automatically getting signals of where my data should reside, and I've got visibility into to my sustainability factors, like what's my energy utilization, so I can drive towards like a net carbon zero or carbon net zero environment, right? So if I've got all of that, then I can start worrying more about the mission.
Up the value chain. That's what we like to see, and we really do appreciate it. Zach, 2 questions for you. One, top priority for you as the CIO at NOAA this year, and then 2 to 3 years now, when you attend that conference again, what do you want those customers to say? What are they going to say 2 to 3 years from now as you all continue on this tear you're on in regards to cloud optimization, et cetera?
Thanks. We have a information resource management strategic plan, as I guess most federal agencies do. And our number one goal is to promote our people. And our people and IT folks and federal employees generally, post-pandemic, a lot of us are suffering burnout and stress. And as a CIO, one of the things that we can contribute is what Michelle was just talking about. Using the cloud and the advanced technologies possible to make jobs easier for the IT people. They can have more rewarding jobs if they're not worried about managing hardware. Instead, they could be focusing on the mission. Instead, they could be focusing on what we hope to be showing 2 to 3 years from now, the second part of your question, Luke, that we've reduced the time it takes for great ideas to go from research into products that serve the American people. That can be more rewarding. We can use cloud-based artificial intelligence to save our scientists time and drudgery. To protect seals, we have to look at thousands of images to find the seal and then figure out how well seals are doing. It's one of the things we do in fisheries. Computers can do that a lot faster, and the cloud makes that possible. As just one little example. Our value chain starts with an observation and ends with information that protects lives and livelihoods. And our administrator said, the value chain isn't over until our information is being used by the American people. So NOD, which I described earlier, is an integral part of making sure that the data ends up getting used. My hope is that 2 to 3 years from now, when we look back, we'll see these changes that we made for the American people, for our employees to make their lives better, and actually have metrics that show that we are improving the time it takes from research to operations, and look back and know that we're also more secure because we've moved towards zero trust, which is a critical thing to minimize some of the risks of software as a service, where it's very easy to get into trouble if you're not careful. So last thing we'll be looking back at is our cloud program office, which we think will have eased the transition, provide the single face to a very complex range of opportunities, and know that we're doing the best job we can as we modernize via moving to cloud and optimized data centers.
Zach, that sounds awesome, and we're really looking forward to it. Dr. Lucas, Department of Homeland Security, 2 to 3 years from now, if you're hiring in a new engineer, up there at headquarters, they take a look around. What are they going to see 2 to 3 years from now?
Lucas, I think it's an interesting question. I mean, as long as we remain vigilant in our investment and in pursuit of ongoing education for our federal employees and ensuring this education is ingrained in our organizational learning DNA, and as long as we remain laser focused on the pursuit of industry and academic knowledge being created in these cloud environments and effectively translate this knowledge into improved IT management, we will inevitably see an exponential growth, Luke, in the available automation support where the government will be able to deliver services faster to the American public and with less human intervention. And of course, with reduced errors, which translates to better and more accurate information for the public. Second, we've made great strides over the last several years in protecting the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information and providing security and monitoring for protecting the application and systems supporting the organization and delivering service to the American public. But we will see an exponential growth, Luke, in the innovation and technology in the industry and cloud environments to enhance cybersecurity. All of this will translate into the government being able to leverage new technology like AI and cloud computing environments to provide improved cybersecurity management, enhanced visibility, and threat intelligence. I think inevitably, all of this means improved automation and support as we deliver solutions and capabilities for the American public, whether it's providing disaster assistance to those affected by natural disasters, providing safety and security for travelers, providing immigration services, or collaborating with state, local, territorial, and tribal organizations. So, I mean, that's what I see in the next 1 to 3 years. I think the future's bright. Automation is moving at the speed of innovation. As long as we continually focus on that and implement that for the American public, I think we'll go a long way, Luke.
Appreciate that. And I'm sure you thought I forgot. Number one priority for this year is?
Number one priority this year is specifically focused on evolving modernization of our cloud computing environments and network architecture. I think when we break that down, one is we're going to continue to improve upon the user experience of our services, both internally and externally to the public. We're going to continue to move towards using containerization as the default in the cloud where applicable, and use cloud native technology when it makes sense. Third, we're going to continue to mature our use and implementation of zero trust in every part of the network fabric, Luke, and in our cloud environments. We're going to consistently stay engaged, ensure the department is on the cutting edge of the innovation being developed in the cloud service provider environments, specifically in engagement, research, and partnering with the industry. Some of the examples include, we've mentioned before, but it's worth to mention again, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the like. And then last but not least, we're going to complete our implementation of the second cloud access point on the West Coast so that we actually add that additional redundancy and availability for our critical systems and applications.
Love the industrial and strength configuration and the focus on those priorities. Bill, SEC, priority number one for you this year, and then tell us what it's going to look like 2 to 3 years from now. You've got 10% of your capability out in the cloud. We know you're in SEAL Team 6 mode. Top priority for you this year.
Sure. Let me take those together. So first and foremost, I spent the last 6 years studying the entire government-wide federal cloud portfolio end to end. So I don't want to give you my vision of 3 years. I want to give you an idea of what I hope we will be doing, and I'll give you 2. So first and foremost, technology is just a way that we manage change. All business, government business, private sector business, it's all about change. Technology is a tool we use to manage that change. And we need the right people, we need the right skill set to be able to manage that technology at the end of the day. So my top priority, hands down, training, reskilling, upskilling. It's all about the people. Right now, there has never been a better time for government agencies to be hiring the best and the brightest engineers. Even if you don't have our special pay and benefits, every single federal agency should be taking advantage of the fact that all of the major companies are laying off their smartest engineers, their best AI people, their best DevSecOps people. Everyone should be hiring right now and using their budget to hire. So my hope is that more and more federal employees will have been former private sector employees, and we'll get the great talent coming into government to help us out. That is top priority number one. My other hope here, and I don't want to pick on anyone, but Zach said that we have a once in a lifetime opportunity for this sort of transformational change and moving to cloud. And I really hope that that is not the case. Cloud Smart has only one federal mandate that we put in there, and it is Agencies should be regularly reviewing their application and data portfolio and rationalizing it down over and over again. This should be a constant process that you're doing all of the time. So the AppRat playbook that Tom's team put together is fantastic. I hope agencies will be doing this all of the time, managing their portfolio, moving up to managed services and not just treating cloud like a data center. I see too much of that, people lifting and shifting, getting out of that sort of habit and really using the tools. The whole purpose of going to this weird thing called cloud is so that the vendors can do more of the work for us and we as government employees can just manage that change. So that's what I'm hoping we're going to see in the next few years.
I really appreciate the aspiration and the focus on very much up the value chain. Tom, take us home. Tell us the number one priority for your agency, your entity right now this year, and then what you're expecting the ecosystem to be embarking on 2 to 3 years from now.
Okay. We run that community of practice, which has 4,000 feds as members. And we've been hearing from the community that cloud operations is still important. We need to do it better, faster, cheaper, and share those experiences across the agency. Mm-hmm. And so we've had the good fortune for the CIO Council to sponsor us putting together a cloud operations guidance white paper. And it's going to include incident management, service delivery, financial monitoring, and that financial monitoring is a really big piece because if you're not monitoring your cloud instances, you could be broke by the end of the year. And that will continue to happen. You have to do it on a monthly basis. It takes organizational change management to do that and several other disciplines. But the guide's also going to go into operation logging, monitoring, reporting, security management, patch management, landing zones, and provisioning and change management. I think it's important to write down these best experiences and share them. So when the new guy comes into the federal government, he's not just having to listen to seminars and catch it on video, but have it in a written word and share it amongst the community. And we're going to continue to talk about sustainability and data centers, and I include cloud with that. Cloud is nothing more than a data center, as I hear Bill Hunt say all the time. There's a lot of exciting work coming out of the government right now when it comes to sustainability, and we have full support of the current administration to make this a priority. We are working with groups like Federal Energy Management Program and DCEP to define what metrics agencies should use when measuring sustainability for federally owned data centers. And help them learn to optimize their metrics for maximum efficiency. And it's a tricky situation because if we focus too much on one thing, we may end up using resources in another area. We just see the collaboration between data center colo and agencies and cloud as being a good partnership, and we want to further explore that and make that easier for agencies to procure. And we want to make sure that we're procuring with the right companies that have sustainability goals, and they are meeting them, and they're providing metrics. Cloud providers today can provide a myriad of metrics to using off-the-shelf tools on their consoles, and we want to take advantage of that. And as Bill said, that IT portfolio management, you're always going to be making different decisions, and sometimes cloud's not the right fit for that, or you're going to be expanding and contracting in a lot of areas. And I'd like to give a shout out to Noah, who runs one of the best network backbone shared services within Commerce. They are exemplary. And they mentioned HPC and high performance computing. And we're going to be highlighting that story as well as other agencies on an HPC summit in April. And I know Noah is partnering with cloud providers to do high performance computing using AI and ML to do better weather forecasting. So we've got a lot of great stories to tell. I'd like to leave you with this: is our federal workforce works really hard every day regardless of whether we're in the office or at home. And we are providing the best value to the taxpayer.
We really appreciate the leadership, Tom, at GSA, and your leadership in particular as we've all gone on this journey. I'd like to thank all the guests here for taking the time out of their busy schedules to join us on the program. I'd like to thank the sponsors as well for supporting us on this show. I'd like to thank the good people here at Federal News Network that make the program so successful and enjoyable. And most of all, I'd like to thank you, the listening audience, that tune in every single month. You're listening to the Federal Executive Forum, which is part of the Federal News Network.